Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the HMS Tenacity's bridge, her reflection obscured by the passing shimmer of a Deltaran cruiser's bioengineered hull. The alien vessel's organic curves caught the light of the nearby star, creating an iridescent display that made her own ship's angular titanium frame look like a relic from a forgotten age. Another fascinating display of their superiority. Lieutenant Rodriguez commented from his tactical station, not bothering to hide the sarcasm in his voice. I counted 3 subtle course adjustments just to make sure they glided past our bow. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Let them dance. The Tenacity doesn't need to show off. The bridge crew maintained their professionalism, but she could sense their shared sentiment. The Tenacity might be the only human-designed vessel in the Galactic Federation's Third Fleet, but it was their home, and they had learned to wear the distinction with pride. A soft chime from the communications console drew her attention. Commander Patel, her XO, was already reviewing the incoming transmission, her dark eyes narrowing as she read. New orders from Fleet Command, Captain, Patel announced, her voice carefully neutral. We're being reassigned to patrol the outer rim trading routes in Sector 7. The bridge fell silent. Sector 7 was where careers went to die, an empty expanse of space so devoid of activity that even pirates avoided it. The assignment's meaning wasn't lost on anyone. They were being hidden away. Acknowledged, Chen replied, keeping her voice steady. Plot a course, Commander. Standard nuclear drive. No need to waste antimatter on this transit. The mention of their nuclear propulsion drew a few knowing looks. While other Federation ships rode waves of warped spacetime, the Tenacity relied on what their allies called quaint technology, nuclear pulse engines for standard travel, with an antimatter reactor reserved for emergency maneuvers. As the crew carried out their duties, Chen's mind wandered to the briefing room she'd endured just last week. The Deltaran Admiral, his chromatophores shifting in barely concealed disdain, had questioned every aspect of the Tenacity's capabilities. Your vessel lacks quantum shielding, he had noted, skin flickering with patterns of superiority. How do you expect to survive modern combat? Layered titanium ceramic armor has served humanity well, she had responded. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most reliable. And these rail guns of yours, in an age of plasma torpedoes and quantum disruptors. Newton's laws still apply, Admiral. Mass times acceleration equals force, regardless of how sophisticated your sensors are. The memory faded as Rodriguez announced their course was set. Chen took her command chair, feeling the familiar comfort of its worn leather. Helm, engage at 1/4 power. Let's not strain our primitive engines. The Tenacity's nuclear pulse drive ignited, each controlled fusion reaction pushing them forward with methodical precision. On their sensors, the Deltaran cruiser was already disappearing into quantum space, likely eager to distance itself from the embarrassment of their presence. Commander Patel, Chen called, prepare a ship-wide announcement. The crew should hear about our new assignment from me. Already queued, Captain. Chen activated the ship's internal communications. This is the captain speaking. We've received new orders deploying us to Sector 7's trading routes. I know what this assignment represents. The Federation hoping will quietly patrol empty space while they showcase their more advanced vessels elsewhere. She paused, letting the words sink in. But I want you all to remember something. While they trust in quantum fields and bioengineered hulls, we carry humanity's legacy among the stars. Every riveted plate, every composite armor panel, every chemical rocket and magnetic accelerator on this ship represents thousands of years of human innovation and determination. The bridge crew sat straighter in their chairs as she continued. Let them underestimate us. Let them dismiss our technology as obsolete. The Tenacity wasn't built to impress aliens. It was built to survive. Remember that as we head to our new patrol route. Chen out. As the ship accelerated toward its destination, Chen watched her crew work with quiet efficiency. Let the Federation hide them away in Sector 7. The Tenacity would endure, just as humanity always had. Sometimes being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. 3 weeks into their Sector 7 patrol, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice broke the bridge's routine silence. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual on our radar array." Chen looked up from her status reports. The tenacity had settled into the monotony of their new assignment, conducting regular sweeps of trading lanes that hadn't seen significant traffic in months. "Define unusual, Lieutenant." "It's shifting, ma'am. Standard electromagnetic returns one moment, then complete sensor absorption the next. Like it's alternating between being there and not being there." Commander Patel moved to the tactical station, studying the readout. "Could be sensor ghosting. These old radar systems aren't exactly." "These old radar systems," Rodriguez interrupted, "don't malfunction. The returns are too regular, too precise. Something's out there, playing peekaboo with our sensors." Chen stood, walking to the tactical display. The anomaly appeared as a rhythmic blip, pulsing in and out of existence roughly 30,000 kilometers off their port bow. "Contact Federation Command. Let's see if any of their quantum arrays are picking this up." The response came quickly, dripping with the usual condescension. A Myraxian commander's translated voice filled the bridge. "Our superior sensor networks detect no anomalies in your sector, Captain Chen. Perhaps your primitive detection systems need recalibration." "With respect, Commander," Chen replied, "we're tracking something that. The Federation has positioned 3 of our most advanced cruisers within range of your patrol route." The Myraxian interrupted. "If there were any genuine threats, they would have detected them long before your antiquated equipment could." Chen watched the blip pulse again, her instincts screaming that something was wrong. The pattern was too deliberate, too measured. "Commander, please alert your cruisers. Have them conduct a thorough scan of coordinates." The anomaly vanished, not in its rhythmic pattern, but completely. Rodriguez's hands flew across his console. "Contact lost. No, wait. Energy spike. Massive energy spike at the anomaly's last position." Before Chen could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. A vessel emerged from the void, its hull composed of geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at. It was massive, easily dwarfing the tenacity, and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Federation cruisers are moving to intercept," Paddle reported, her voice tense. "They're hailing the unknown vessel." The response came in the form of 3 lances of darkness that stretched from the geometric ship to the Federation cruisers. Where the beams touched the quantum shields, they simply passed through as if the advanced defenses didn't exist. Each cruiser's bioengineered hull began to crack and peel away like burning paper. "Energy weapons aren't registering on our standard scales," Rodriguez reported, his hands steady despite the horror unfolding on their screens. "Whatever that is, it's not like anything in our database." Chen watched as the Federation's most advanced ships died in seconds, their quantum fields and organic hulls providing no protection against the unknown weapon. The geometric vessel hung in space, its angle seeming to shift and change as they watched. "All hands to battle stations," Chen ordered, her voice calm. "But maintain our position. We're too far out to render assistance, and I want to gather as much data as we can." A transmission cut through all channels, its message simple and chilling. "The Void Collective claims these lanes. Your technological ascension ends now." The geometric ship vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving only debris where 3 Federation cruisers had been moments before. "Orders, Captain?" Patil asked quietly. Chen stared at the tactical display, her mind racing through the implications of what they'd just witnessed. The Federation's most advanced ships had been destroyed in seconds by weapons that ignored their sophisticated defenses. "Send all sensor data to Federation Command," she ordered. "But first, have our science team analyze every reading we took. The Federation's quantum sensors missed this threat completely, but our radar saw it coming. I want to know why." As the crew carried out her orders, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that their primitive technology might just have shown them something the Federation's advanced sensors had been too sophisticated to see. Sometimes, the old ways of seeing things revealed what the new ways missed entirely. The holographic display in Chen's quarters flickered with footage of the attack for the 100th time. She watched the dark beams pass through the Federation cruiser's quantum shields, trying to understand what she was seeing. Empty coffee cups littered her desk, testament to hours spent analyzing the data. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. Enter. Commander Patel stepped in, carrying fresh coffee and a data tablet. The Federation's response came through. They're claiming our sensor data is inconclusive and likely corrupted by our outdated systems. Chen accepted the coffee with a grateful nod. Of course they are. Have they offered any explanation for how they lost 3 of their most advanced cruisers? They're blaming it on a quantum field cascade failure. Patel's tone made it clear what she thought of that theory. Apparently, it's easier to believe their own technology failed than to accept that we saw something coming before their sensors did. Look at this. Chen gestured to the hologram, freezing it at the moment of impact. The Void Collective's weapons didn't overpower those quantum shields. They ignored them completely. It's like... She paused, a memory surfacing from her academy days. Like what, Captain? Chen pulled up the Tenacity's structural schematics. Like trying to stop a physical bullet with an energy field. Our ship uses layered armor because we couldn't perfect quantum shielding. But what if that wasn't a limitation? What if it was accidentally brilliant? She overlaid the attack footage with the Tenacity sensor data. The Federation evolved beyond physical weapons and defenses. Everything they build is based on energy manipulation, quantum fields, plasma weapons, bioengineered hulls that redirect energy. But the Void Collective's weapons, she gestured at the dark beams. There's something else entirely, something that operates on principles that bypass energy-based defenses completely. Patel leaned closer to the display. But our armor is physical matter, Chen finished. Simple, solid, layered titanium ceramic plates. No quantum fields, no energy manipulation. Just good old-fashioned metal and ceramic. She pulled up historical records from Earth's naval archives. Look at how warfare evolved on Earth. Every advancement in weapons led to advancements in armor, and vice versa. But the Federation, she shook her head. They went all in on energy-based technology. When was the last time you saw a Federation ship with actual physical armor? They consider it redundant, Patel recalled. Their quantum fields are supposed to be impenetrable. Supposed to be, Chen emphasized. She activated the ship-wide engineering channel. Lieutenant Park, are you still running those material analysis simulations? Yes, Captain, Park's tired voice replied. And you're going to want to see this. The Void Collective's weapons appear to operate in some kind of phase space that intersects with normal matter. Energy fields don't affect them, but physical matter does. I've run the numbers through every simulation we have. Our armor would actually hold up against their attacks. Not indefinitely, but far longer than quantum shields. Chen felt a surge of excitement. Send everything to my station. Commander Patel, get me a secure channel to Federation Command. Maybe they'll listen this time. The response came an hour later, after Chen had presented her analysis. The Myraxian admiral's translated voice carried the same dismissive tone as always. Captain Chen, while we appreciate your creative interpretation of events, the Federation's response to this threat will be handled by our advanced tactical AI systems. Your posting to Sector 7 remains unchanged. Chen closed the channel, but her expression wasn't one of defeat. Commander Patel, have all department heads report to the briefing room in 1 hour. If the Federation won't listen, we'll need to be ready when the Void Collective returns. You think they will? I know they will. Chen gathered her data tablets. And when they do, they'll find out that humanity's outdated approach to warfare might be the only thing that can stop them. She smiled slightly. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. especially when your enemy has forgotten they exist. The distress call from Meridian Station cut through the tense silence of the Tenacity's bridge. This is Meridian Research Station to any Federation vessels. We are under attack. Our shields are ineffective. Please. The transmission dissolved into static. Multiple Void Collective signatures detected, Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical console. 2 vessels, same configuration as before. Chen stood from her command chair, studying the tactical display. Meridian Station hung in space 20,000 kilometers ahead, its quantum shields flickering uselessly against the geometric ship's weapons. The station's organic hull was already beginning to deteriorate. Federation response ships are still 30 minutes out, Patil announced. They're ordering all vessels to maintain distance until their tactical AI formulates a response. How convenient for them, Chen muttered. She'd spent the last week preparing for this moment, running simulations and drilling her crew. Helm, plot an approach vector through the Kuiper debris field. Rodriguez, power up the railgun capacitors but keep them in standby. No energy signatures that might give away our position. The Tenacity glided forward, its nuclear drive running silent as they used minimal thrust to maneuver through the field of ice and rock. The debris masked their approach from the Void Collective's sophisticated sensors, which seemed to focus primarily on energy emissions. Station hull integrity at 40%, Park reported from engineering. Their quantum core is becoming unstable. Almost in range, Rodriguez announced. Railguns charged and ready. But Captain, even with our modifications, we'll only get one good salvo before they detect us. Chen nodded. Then we make it count. Helm, on my mark. Execute attack pattern Sierra 3. Rodriguez, target the vessel on the left. Their geometric configuration suggests their phase weapons are mounted on the forward nodes. If we hit them from behind. Coming up on firing position, the helm officer reported. Chen watched the range markers tick down. The Void ships were completely focused on the station, their sensors still searching for the energy signatures they expected from Federation vessels. They never thought to look for a ship using simple momentum and mass to hide its approach. Now, the Tenacity burst from the debris field, thrusters firing at maximum power. Before the Void ships could react, 4 tungsten rods, each accelerated to a fraction of light speed by electromagnetic rails, streaked across space. The geometric vessel's hull, designed to manipulate energy weapons, offered no protection against simple kinetic force. The round struck with devastating precision, tearing through the alien ship's aft section. Its geometric patterns fluctuated wildly before the vessel began to break apart. Direct hits, Rodriguez called out. Enemy Vessel 1 is. Wait, the second ship is turning to engage. Helm, emergency maneuver Delta. Chen ordered. The Tenacity's antimatter reactor spun up, providing power for a brief but intense burst of acceleration. Dark beams sliced through the space they had occupied moments before. Railguns recycling, Rodriguez reported. 40 seconds to full charge. Chen studied the tactical display. The remaining Void ship was adjusting its position, trying to bring its phase weapons to bear. Helm, take us through the station's quantum field wake. Their sensors will have trouble distinguishing our mass from the field fluctuations. The Tenacity dove through the distorted space behind Meridian Station, using the very quantum fields the Federation relied on as cover for their approach. The Void ship's weapons fired repeatedly, but each shot was confused by the energy distortions. Railguns ready. Fire all tubes. The second salvo caught the Void ship as it tried to compensate for the quantum interference. 4 more tungsten rods penetrated its hull, and the geometric vessel's patterns shattered like broken glass. As debris from both Void ships drifted through space, Chen opened a channel to Meridian Station. This is Captain Chen of the HMS Tenacity. Station status. We're stabilizing, came the shaken reply. Captain, how did you? Their weapons went right through our quantum shields. But you. Sometimes, Chen replied, allowing herself a small smile. The simplest solution is the most effective. Tenacity will stand by to assist with repairs. She turned to her crew. And someone get me a channel to Federation Command. I believe they'll want a detailed report on the effectiveness of primitive human weaponry. The Federation Council Chamber's organic architecture pulsed with subtle bioluminescence as Chen stood before the assembled admirals. The same beings who had dismissed her warnings now leaned forward in their seats, tentacles, appendages, and sensory organs, all focused intently on the tactical display she had brought. The Void Collective's phase weapons operate on principles that render energy-based defenses obsolete, Chen explained, highlighting footage from the Meridian Station engagement. But their fatal weakness is their complete dismissal of kinetic warfare. Like us, they expected every advanced civilization to follow the path of energy manipulation. A Deltaran admiral's skin rippled with patterns of concern. You suggest we abandon centuries of quantum field development? No, Chen replied, switching the display to show the Tenacity's hybrid defense systems. I suggest we adapt. Humanity didn't perfect quantum shields, so we kept our physical armor as a backup. Now that choice has become our greatest advantage. The chamber's bioluminescence shifted to deeper blues as the implications sank in. Commander Patel, standing beside Chen, brought up the next set of schematics. We've developed a modular system to retrofit Federation vessels with layered titanium ceramic armor, Patel explained. The quantum fields can be maintained for traditional combat, while the physical armor provides protection against phase weapons. A Myraxian representative raised multiple appendages. Our tactical AI simulations suggest such modifications would reduce ship speed by 17%. With respect, Chen countered, those same AI simulations didn't predict the Void Collective's attack vectors. Sometimes survival requires sacrificing pure efficiency for practical defense. The chamber erupted in overlapping translations as various species debated among themselves. Chen waited patiently until the Federation's High Admiral, a towering Centaurian, raised his crystalline manipulators for silence. Captain Chen, his translated voice resonated through the chamber. Your victory at Meridian Station stands alone against 12 devastating defeats. The Federation faces its greatest crisis since the Quantum Wars. He paused, his crystal facets dimming slightly. We require human insight. Chen nodded, understanding the magnitude of this admission. The Tenacity's success wasn't just about physical weapons. It was about thinking in ways the Void Collective doesn't expect. Human naval doctrine evolved over centuries of three-dimensional warfare on Earth's oceans. Those principles still apply in space. She brought up historical footage from Earth's naval battles, crossing the T-Wolfpack tactics, using terrain, or in our case, celestial phenomena, for tactical advantage. These strategies weren't made obsolete by advanced technology. We just forgot their value. The High Admiral's facets pulsed with decision. You will oversee the retrofit of our primary battle fleet. Additionally, you will instruct our commanders in human tactical doctrine. Sir, Chen replied carefully, learning these principles requires more than technical downloads or AI analysis. Our commanders need to understand the philosophy behind them. Explain. Chen highlighted footage of the Tenacity's approach through the debris field. We succeeded because we thought like our ancestors. We considered questions they would ask. How can we hide our approach? What natural phenomena can work to our advantage? How do we strike from unexpected angles? She paused. Your commanders need to learn to think beyond their technological advantages. The chamber's bioluminescence shifted to decisive purples. The High Admiral rose, his crystalline form catching the light. Then you will teach them to think as humans do. The Federation's shipyards are at your disposal. Our commanders will be your students. As the assembly concluded, Commander Patel fell into step beside Chen in the corridor. Congratulations, Captain. Though I suspect teaching Federation commanders to think like human naval officers might be more challenging than fighting the Void Collective. Chen smiled slightly. Perhaps, but they're learning the most important lesson already. That advancement doesn't always mean abandoning the past. She paused at a viewport, watching Federation ships move through the space dock. Sometimes the best way forward is to remember where you came from. Chen stood in the Federation Academy's holographic training chamber, surrounded by alien officers as a simulation of the Carina Nebula filled the space around them. The massive cloud of ionized gases and stellar matter created a complex three-dimensional battlefield that would have made Earth's ancient admirals rethink every strategy they knew. The Void Collective expects direct approaches, she explained, manipulating the holographic display to show fleet movements. Their sensors search for energy signatures, quantum distortions, and signs of advanced technology. But the nebula itself provides natural cover that no engineer could design. A Myrexian commander raised an appendage. The ionic interference would disrupt our quantum targeting systems. Exactly, Chen smiled. Which is why we won't rely on them. Lieutenant Rodriguez, her tactical officer, who had accompanied her to the academy, brought up a new simulation. We've modified the Federation's targeting computers to incorporate ballistic calculations. In dense stellar phenomena like this nebula, physical projectiles actually become more effective. The same interference that blinds energy weapons creates paths for kinetic strikes. The chamber filled with light as a simulated battle played out. Federation ships, now bearing the distinctive plates of titanium ceramic armor, used the nebula's gas clouds as cover. Their movements were different from traditional Federation formations, more fluid, more unpredictable. Notice how the fleet breaks into smaller tactical groups, Chen pointed out. Each unit operates independently but coordinates with the whole. We call this distributed warfare, the same principle Earth's navies used in Wolfpack tactics. The simulation showed Void Collective ships appearing at the nebula's edge, their geometric patterns distorted by the ionized gases. The Federation forces didn't engage directly. Instead, they used the nebula's currents to mask their movements, emerging from different vectors to strike with synchronized railgun salvos. Your ships are more heavily armored now, yes, Chen continued, but speed remains crucial. The key is to dictate the terms of engagement, control the battlefield's geometry, and you control the fight. A Deltaran officer's skin flickered with patterns of realization. Like your Earth's naval warfare, using islands and weather to tactical advantage. Precisely. Space offers even more opportunities. Nebulae, asteroid fields, solar winds, gravity wells. The Void Collective relies on their phase technology, expecting everyone to fight on their terms. We'll show them different terms. The simulation advanced to show a full fleet engagement. Federation ships moved in coordinated patterns that would have been familiar to any Earth naval commander, crossing the T to maximize firing solutions, using screening elements to protect capital ships, and executing pincer movements that forced the enemy into killing zones. We've integrated these tactical programs into your ship as Rodriguez explained, but understanding the principles behind them is crucial. An AI can calculate a perfect firing solution, but it can't improvise like a trained commander. Chen watched as her students absorbed the lesson. After weeks of training, she was starting to see real progress. The initial skepticism had given way to genuine interest as they realized the depth of human military thinking. Tomorrow we'll begin live exercises, she announced. The tenacity will lead a mock attack force against your defensive positions. Show me how you'll use these principles in real space. As the officers filed out, Commander Patel entered with a data tablet. Latest intelligence from the front, Captain. The Void Collective is pulling back from 3 sectors where our retrofitted ships engaged them. Chen studied the report. They're adapting, starting to recognize the threat of kinetic weapons. We'll need to stay ahead of them. The Federation Council is impressed, Patel noted. They're fast-tracking the fleet retrofit program. Even the bioengineered ships are being modified to accommodate physical armor. Good. Chen looked back at the simulated nebula, watching the ghost ships move through their tactical dance. Because the real test is coming. The Void Collective won't retreat forever. When they return in force, they'll find a very different Federation fleet waiting for them. She smiled slightly, remembering the dismissive attitudes that had greeted the Tenacity just months ago. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology. It was our memory, the accumulated wisdom of countless battles, victories, and defeats. Now we'll teach that wisdom to the stars. The bridge of the Tenacity hummed with focused energy as Chen surveyed the tactical display. Around her ship, the largest Federation battle fleet ever assembled moved into position. Each vessel now bore the distinctive titanium ceramic plating that had once made the Tenacity an object of ridicule. But more importantly, they moved with purpose, with understanding, with human insight. All task forces report ready, Captain, Commander Patil announced. The Void Collective fleet has been detected gathering in the Antares sector. Chen nodded, studying the enemy formation. The Void ships had changed their tactics too, clustering in defensive geometries that would have made their phase weapons devastatingly effective against traditional Federation attacks. They're expecting us to come straight at them, Rodriguez observed from tactical. Standard Federation quantum assault pattern. Then let's disappoint them, Chen replied. Signal Task Force Alpha to begin their approach. Lieutenant Park, status of the solar prominence. Building to peak, Captain, Park responded from the science station. The star's magnetic field is becoming increasingly unstable, exactly as predicted. The first wave of Federation ships advanced, appearing to fall into the trap the Void Collective had set. But these weren't the same ships that had been so easily destroyed months ago. As the Void vessels prepared to fire, the Federation fleet split apart, each group executing precise maneuvers that would have made ancient submarine commanders proud. Task Forces Beta and Gamma. Commence Operation Undertow, Chen ordered. The real attack began. While the Void Collective focused on the apparent main thrust, two battle groups emerged from behind the cover of Antares solar flares, their approach masked by the star's electromagnetic chaos. The Void ship's energy-based sensors, struggling with the solar interference, failed to detect the flanking forces until railgun rounds began tearing through their formation. Multiple direct hits, Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Their defensive geometry is breaking down. They're trying to reposition to face the new threats, but they've forgotten about Task Force Alpha. Chen finished. Signal all ships. Execute targeting pattern Sierra 7. The trap closed. The Void fleet found itself caught in a three-dimensional crossfire, with Federation ships attacking from vectors their tactical computers had deemed inefficient, but which now proved devastating. Physical armor absorbed the few phase weapon hits that connected, while salvo after salvo of kinetic rounds found their marks. Void command ship detected, Patil announced. They're attempting to coordinate a breakthrough. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Perfect. Signal the Tenacity's strike group. We're going hunting. The ship surged forward, leading a wolf pack of similarly modified vessels. They dove through the chaos of battle like ancient destroyers through storm-tossed seas, using the debris of destroyed ships and continuing solar interference as cover for their approach. Multiple firing solutions calculated, Rodriguez reported. Old-style targeting computers working perfectly through the interference. Fire all tubes, Chen ordered. Let's show them why humanity never completely trusted energy weapons. The Tenacity's railguns spoke in unison, joined by its escort ships. The Void command vessel's geometric hull, so effective at redirecting energy weapons, shattered under the impact of synchronized kinetic strikes. The remaining Void ships, their command and control suddenly fragmented, began to break formation. They're retreating, Patil announced, unable to keep a note of triumph from her voice. Multiple Void ships attempting emergency phase jumps. Let them go, Chen ordered. They'll carry the message back to their fleet. The Federation is no longer the easy target they thought. As the battle concluded, status reports began flowing in. The Federation's losses had been minimal, The combination of physical armor and human tactical doctrine had proven devastatingly effective. The Void Collective's aura of invincibility was shattered. Signal from Federation Command, Paddle reported. The High Admiral sends his congratulations. And she paused, checking the message twice. They're requesting your presence at Central Command. Something about planning the next phase of the counteroffensive. Chen looked around her bridge, at the crew that had gone from being the Federation's embarrassment to its salvation. Send my acknowledgement. But first, transmit my congratulations to all ships. Today, they proved that the oldest lessons are sometimes the most valuable. The Tenacity turned for home, its scared armor bearing proud testament to the triumph of human wisdom over technological arrogance. The observation deck of Federation's Central Command offered a panoramic view of the shipyards, where vessels of all species now bore the distinctive hybrid design that had changed the course of the war. Admiral Sarah Chen, the promotion still felt strange, stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching a new class of ships taking shape. The Tenacity class, Commander Patel commented, joining her at the viewport. The Federation's first standardized hybrid warships. Lieutenant Park says the quantum kinetic integration is even better than our original modifications. Chen nodded, studying the vessels under construction. Their sleek lines incorporated both the organic aesthetics of Federation design and the practical functionality of human engineering. Beauty and purpose merged into something entirely new. The Void Collective's surrender terms have been formalized, Paddle continued, offering a data tablet. They're withdrawing from all contested sectors and agreeing to limitations on phase weapon development. They didn't expect us to adapt, Chen mused, reviewing the documentation. That was their fatal flaw. They assumed technological superiority meant victory was inevitable. The doors slid open, admitting a group of Federation cadets, a mix of species, all wearing the newly standardized uniforms that incorporated elements from human naval tradition. They snapped to attention when they noticed Chen's presence. At ease, she told them, recognizing faces from her tactical classes. How are the new simulation scenarios working out? A young Deltaran cadet stepped forward, her skin patterns showing respectful confidence. We're studying the Battle of Midway, Admiral. The principles of carrier warfare are surprisingly applicable to modern fleet operations. The concepts of force projection and tactical deception never go out of style. Chen agreed. Whether it's aircraft carriers on Earth's oceans or quantum cruisers in deep space. Through the viewport, a familiar silhouette caught her attention. The original Tenacity, its battle-scarred hull now a badge of honor, was docked for what would likely be its final refit. The ship that had been mocked as primitive was now being preserved as a symbol of the Federation's transformation. The Void Collective never understood what they were really fighting. Chen continued, addressing the cadets. They saw our physical armor and kinetic weapons as signs of technological backwardness. But humanity's real strength wasn't in our technology, it was in our memory. She gestured to the bustling shipyards. Every civilization faces challenges, suffers defeats, and learns hard lessons. The trick is not to forget those lessons when you advance. The Federation's quantum technology wasn't a mistake. The mistake was assuming it made everything that came before obsolete. The cadets listened intently as she continued. That's why we still study ancient battles, why we maintain physical backup systems, why we train in both energy and kinetic warfare. Because the next threat might not be like the last one, and the solution might come from anywhere in our history. A chime indicated the arrival of the High Admiral. The crystalline Centaurian's facets glowed with approval as he surveyed the scene. The Federation Council has approved your proposals, Admiral Chen, he announced. All member species will contribute their historical military knowledge to a shared tactical database. We will preserve the lessons of the past while advancing into the future. Chen smiled. The database had been her pet project, an attempt to ensure that no useful military knowledge from any species would be lost to technological advancement. The Void Collective taught us all a valuable lesson, she reflected. True strength lies not in abandoning our past, but in building upon it. Every species has its own journey, its own hard-won wisdom. Together, we're stronger than any of us would be alone. As she watched the shipyards buzzing with activity, Chen thought about the long journey from that first patrol in Sector 7. The tenacity had been sent there to be forgotten, but instead had helped forge something new. A federation that combined the best of all its members, respecting both tradition and innovation. The next generation will be better prepared, she told her assembled audience. They'll have the benefit of every lesson, from every species, from every age. And whatever threats the future holds, they'll face them with both the wisdom of the past and the technology of the present. The stars stretched out before them, full of both promise and challenge. But now they faced those stars together, stronger for having learned that sometimes the best way forward is to remember where you've been.